Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Coffee Review. It's a beautiful November 19th here, and we've got lots of fun things to talk about. Lots of fun things. I'm
Lots.
I'm
It's
excited.
gonna be a busy
So
day.
it's going to be a very busy day. So welcome, everybody. We'll talk about some Bluebeam stuff here for sure, but today we're going to be all over the place. So buckle up, grab your drink. We're gonna go through quite a lot. Where do you want to
Yeah.
start today?
That's what I was just talking to Jason about because we do have a lot to cover. Don't worry for all of you that are tuning in. This will be chaptered on the YouTube, so you can skip if you're just looking for the topic today. But there's a lot of great announcements, so we do encourage you to listen through everything that we're going to be talking about today. I think first and foremost, let's talk about announcements. Let's go through some of the lists from Bluebeam, and then we'll jump to our main announcement. And then I'm thinking we'll talk about our main announcement right after segue, and then at the end we'll cover stamps because that'll
There we
be
go.
easy chapters. Yeah.
Yep. So stamps is our topic today for Bluebeam. We're gonna go through some of the things that we had kind of teased on last week. There were some questions about it, and there's certainly some opportunities for us to dive deeper into stamps. But we got a lot to talk about. So one of them is if you haven't checked your email yet this morning, Bluebeam finally announced their big conference. So the dates are, and of course I didn't have it off the top of my tongue here.
I have it. It's the 30th
Sep-
through the 2nd.
so
Yeah.
September 30th through October 2nd in Washington, D.C. is going to be the Bluebeam Conference 2025 called Unbound, dedicated to unleashing human creativity on to the nth dimension. Unbound will empower you to imagine exciting possibilities for the projects of today and tomorrow. So check your email for that because there's an RSVP function. And if you RSVP early, that's going to unlock a 20% off registration.
Oh, so you
So
do have to pay right now.
it's just RSVP sort of get you that coupon code, I'm guessing. I don't know if this is gonna, tell you how much the price is gonna be because a multi-day event, they haven't done one for a while, or at least never one that I haven't been to. I mean, the other one was 2 days. This is 3 days, right?
Do I click
Um,
RSVP now?
you got to enter in your name and stuff, but so I don't know what it's going to cost, but if you RSVP now, you're going to get 20% off whatever that cost will be. But the end of September, early October in Washington, D.C. sounds like a really good time. More than likely, you will see Michael and myself there, and maybe some other fun stuff. So that's really exciting to see. I know we sort of teased that an event was coming, but that's the official announcement, not just us two, clowns talking about it.
Yeah, because we never said dates and times, but there was going to be a live event, and it's really close to the proximity of Autodesk University. But we're excited to be able to announce that the dates finally came out, and they retitled it. So it's not Bluebeam Live. I think they probably made that strategic change because they already had the mini live events, so they now
Hmm.
named this one Unbound, I guess. But it's exciting. So either way, we're excited to see everybody in person this next year. Um, and yeah, that's the single announcement, I guess you would say, from that perspective.
Yeah. So AU, Autodesk University, Michael and I were there and we talked about it quite a bit over the past episodes, but that's going to be September 15th through 18th in Nashville, Tennessee. So there will be two big conferences, at least in September, for Bluebeam and Autodesk, which is a lot of the same folks, that are in there. Not everybody. There are lots of Bluebeam users who don't use Autodesk, and there's a lot of Autodesk users that don't use Bluebeam, but there is a huge crossover there. So I'm we're excited to talk about this now because this is the time of year that most people are putting their funding together for next year.
Yep.
And if the more you know, the more you can push for that. And on to Doug's note, the more you can prepare your syllabus to be a speaker. Both of these events want speakers. They're going to be a call for proposals. You'll get to go talk about something. So if you've got ideas and you want to start building out a class, start putting those thoughts together. If you want help with those, certainly we can workshop those in the spring. But we're excited to see the community, the rebirth of conferences, honestly, and some really good opportunities for networking and learning. So huge news out of Bluebeam this morning. Really excited for that, and we hope to see a lot of you there.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll be submitting for both. Are you going to submit for AE or just Bluebeam, you think?
We'll see. We'll see. I haven't submitted for AU in 3 or 4 years, but there's so many exciting things coming out, especially on the civil side, that are worthy of a discussion. So I will probably put my thinking cap together and submit some classes again and see what happens.
Good. Yeah.
But that's a lot of travel for September. We'll see.
I know. That's the one thing I'm thinking about right now. Like if I submit for both, traveling for both, because that's back-to-back weeks almost. You'll have a week break. Let's see, what does that look like? Yeah, I believe it's like a week break before you go back into Washington D.C. for almost the same amount of time. I'm gonna assume, because AU is also a week long. Because you get there early, especially if you're a speaker, you want to get there early. Even if you're an attendee, sometimes folks want to get there early. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, it'll be fun either way. Travel is what it is, and when there's an opportunity to learn and network, I think it's worthwhile.
Yep.
So that's part of the news. That's the news from Bluebeam, but the news from ATG is even bigger. I don't know.
Yes, it is bigger because it makes me super excited, and I know it makes you super excited. So I think it is equally, if not greater, than the live event announcement for us.
So speaking of AU, if you were at AU and you came to visit ATG, you might have noticed that there was a booth across the aisle from us. And they had these cool little orange beach balls. And I'm thrilled and I'm happy that I was able to blow mine up and have it back there as a backdrop. Because why, Michael? What is that? I don't even know.
So
it's a toy?
It is a toy. I guess you can look at it that way from a plugin perspective. So DiRoots is a plugin tool that a lot of folks have already used. Like I was going to do a little bit of research from like the generation of it, but I guess holistically from my knowledge, plugin tools that you could get from the Autodesk store way before in the predecessor day before what they are now. But DiRoots has some excellent plugin tools that we now have access to, and we have partnered with. So that is the big news today, that we have partnered with DiRoots to bring these tools to all of you here in the United States. So there's two parts to them. There are some freemium tools. So, I guess they call them freemium because you get free tools and then you get paid for tools. Even some of the free tools, which we'll walk through today, into the paid for tools are lots. How do I want to phrase this? Are some of the more utilized tools that I use on a daily basis, especially from, it could be from just a typical design role, but from a BIM management role too. They really impact some of the things that we can do. That's what I was going through and more itemizing for yesterday when I was creating some custom windows and doors. So again, we're going to go through and talk about some of these tools, but the main announcement is that we have partnered with them. And we're excited to bring these tools to all of you because they are just some of the best tools, in my opinion, that I've used thus far. Especially when I was going through and using some for parameter swaps and shared parameter items as well. There was some other good items from the perspective of I've never been really able to bring in a PDF or you could natively, but I meant more of a Word document. I don't know why I said PDF because I just went to that first one first, because you can definitely bring in a PDF, but a Word document into Revit. So there's a lot of great things, especially when we're talking about data and correcting our models to be data proper for this new age. If we all went to AU, with the initiation of AI tools for docs and prepping that information from a macro level within your Revit design environment. There's a lot of good tools that can help you and assist you within this suite. And there's more tools than just that, but that's what we'll focus on today because you can take a look and download some of these tools as well. Don't worry, we'll get to our topic, like we said, for stamps. So just hang on with us. If you are listening or pre-listening, but let's go through and talk about some of the tools, right?
And I'll just get it out of the way. DiRoots
What?
does not currently have Civil tools. So I'm the Civil guy. I'm a Civil 3D user. These tools don't apply, but I will say they don't apply yet. One of the things that I'm most excited about is that the folks at DRoots are just incredible to work with. They're friendly, they're smart, they are energetic. They reinvigorate us, and they are a perfect partner for us because we're hyper. If you've seen ATG on social media, we like to have fun. We like to do that thing. It's not just a front for business sake. We enjoy what we do. We love what we do, and when we get to partner with folks that match our energy, it's even better. And these folks are just the coolest. They're incredibly smart. They make me want to learn more. And I think it's going to be a great fit overall. And
It's
we're
that
very proud to partner with them.
Yeah, it's like that contagious energy because I remember going and talking to them at the booth. It's just contagious with their knowledge, their ability to speak about the tools and be energetic about the tools, and just in as a people in general. Having long conversations with them, they match us 1-to-1. So
Absolutely.
it makes you even more excited because you have that ability to have that same energy. I mean, you know me, Jason, I love to talk a lot. So that same kind of mindset of having good conversations and talking is something that definitely adds to the value, not just of the plugins, but as a company in general. So exciting. I put the link down here as well so you can get access to them if you are all Revit users. Like Jason said, there are currently, at the moment, no Civil tools, but there are Revit-based tools. So if you are looking for some tools, and we'll go through and talk about the freemium ones, free, and then the freemium, the mium part as well. But we'll talk about some of the tools that I use that I really recommend you going through and checking out as well.
The freemium is a whole new word in my dictionary that I didn't have before, but it makes good sense.
Yeah, I had to understand what freemium are because I didn't really understand what the. Explain it to us, Jason. What is freemium model?
Well, freemium means you can get what you'll get for free. There are free tools in there, but if you want the premium version of the free tools, you pay. And I don't know what the costs are. Honestly, I didn't look that far. But you can,
So did you
spice it up.
did they blend that term together?
Free and premium? Yeah.
Was it a known
I've
word?
never heard it before.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure it exists in the whole add-on software world, but I don't always live in that world.
So let's go into Revit here, and we'll bring it from this tool perspective of, because I put our website in, to get access to the DiRoots tools. Let me share that screen. What? Is that the right screen? Yeah. Okay. Move you over here because I always like, if everyone ever wonders, I always go back, watch the YouTube videos, and I'm always like, why do I always stay over here? But it's because I'm always talking to Jason because his face is here. My camera's here. But anyways, okay. So let's get into it. Let me bring up the second screen. So when you install, there are a couple different suites. So there's DiRoots 1 and then DStem. So it's not DiRoots, it's DiRoots, by the way. And I am going to mess it up a couple of times, so I apologize. But going through and looking at some of these tools that are already existent in terms of you will always have access to them. One of them is one parameter. And one parameter right here is one of the better tools for going through and looking at some of your existing parameters that are already inside your model. So that's one of the, I guess it is free tools, right? That's what you would constitute as that free part. But again, so this is allowing you to go into your bulk editive values from your instances. So if you ever needed to go through and change any of your parameters from an instance-based level, and the values that are in there as well from a single click. So that's one of the tools here. The one that I was using mostly the other day was Parameter Manager. And this one, let me make sure, I believe is a paid for tool. Mm-hmm. It is. Oh, wait. No, it's not. Yeah. Because there's no X next to it. So it actually isn't. So this is included. So this one allows you to go through and manage any parameters that are existent in your project currently. So you can go through and manage from a shared parameter file. You can add new parameters existent in here. So essentially, if you wanted to go and grab a shared parameter file, you can load a shared parameter file in here. So let me go through and just grab some shared parameters. So I can go through and open a shared parameter file. I can add some new ones as well. So if I wanted to, I can go through and add an existent one as well. So if you wanted, you could add a secondary one and it would append these back together, which I'm going to hit cancel because I'm not going to add two together yet. But basically, one of the great things and one of the hard things, I guess, natively in Revit, we all go to the manager tab, try to manage our shared parameter files, or you could do it from the text files, and that may mess up sometimes, right? So whenever I go through and do something for, let's say, a client, there's an app. But basically, if I go and do something for a client and I accidentally create a shared parameter file, or I create a shared parameter file because I didn't receive a shared parameter file, you don't have to worry about transferring shared parameter files over, not having the original one. You can actually bring them in together using the shared editor. And you can also edit the parameters, which is one of the harder things to do, because the only other way to edit a shared parameter file would be to edit it from the text file itself natively. So allowing you to go through and edit those shared parameter files easily. You can change the type of the parameter, you can change the grouping, description, use modifier, just a nice, easy window that you can go through. You can even add an additional shared parameter here if you wanted to. And then going back into, great, I've edited my shared parameter files. This is, again, something that I was using just yesterday. And the reason why I'm bringing this up today to kind of show you in more of like a quick demo. We're not going to go step by step for those folks going in here, but basically you can go through and then manage those families and add those shared parameters in here as well. So just easy access to adding things to multiple families from a shared parameter file perspective, or managing your shared parameter file. You can always go and look at your existing parameters in a project as well. You can then change categories if you needed to from a shared parameter level if you ever needed to as well within a project. So these two are more of your project specific. This is your shared parameter, project specific to adding shared parameters into your families as well. So this tool was definitely something that I would be using and was using yesterday. Another tool would be that sheet link. So for those of us that love bringing out data into Excel, I'm a data geek. For all of you that are looking at the new docs perspective of itemizing data and information, getting a good look at what's in your model, you can use the sheet link to go through and actually bring data out into Excel. You can also go through from an annotation level. So you can go from a model category, you have annotation level, you have elements, you also have schedules, and then you have spatials, which to me, I mean, if Matt was here, I don't know if he's on, he was out yesterday, but this would be more from an architectural side. So for all of you on the spatial side. And then you have a preview and edit. So this would be basically any information that you brought out. You can always save this out in Excel too. Is there any questions coming up yet, Mr. Hartley?
There's a little bit of an elephant in the room, and I'll just mention it because it was easier to type than responding.
Okay.
Are we not doing anything with CTC tools anymore? And no, we are not. ATG did not renew our partnership with CTC for a very, very good reason.
Yep.
And this was it. There's another reason for what the future is for CTC, which I fully don't know, but they were purchased by another Autodesk reseller who already has their own tools. And from reading the announcement, it sounds like they're going to just roll in some of the tools into theirs. So CTC might not be a name around anymore. And it's just going to go somewhere else, but I don't know the future. I can't speak to any of that, but we're not doing anything with them.
Yeah, and I'll say from the perspective of UI tool creation, and these tools are something that are a lot better fit for what we do in the industry. So kind of segue back from us not the partnership in terms of that perspective. These tools are more aligned with our vision and the U-Wall in the industry than some of the alignment of other tools. So we are excited to talk more about tools that are aligned with what we do. Another one would be reordering. So if you ever needed to go through and reorder. But let's talk about what are paid and what are not. So you have Family Reviser will be a tool that comes with the freemium part, and then you have one filter. So if you wanted to go through and look and filter out from a schedule perspective, you can actually go through and create your own custom filters. So your rules and sets directly in one UI interface. That is included. You have one parameter. So one parameter is not included. This is part of the paid for tools. So as I spoke about earlier, you have parameter manager, which is part of the freemium as well. So free part, which I just talked about. I love this tool. Was using it yesterday. You have the point kit, which I don't know which one that one is, but I'm assuming it's part of this part, which is point clouds, which I didn't really get too much into. You have quick views. So if you wanted to quickly create views, you have that option to go through and quickly create views from a call out perspective or elevation and section. And then you have reordering that is included. So that does allow you to go through and renumber things, and you can renumber a bunch of different items. Basically, you have your whole model, or you can go through in quick view and you select what you want to renumber or reorder. And then there's a lot better things because you do manual, or you can do crossing or vertexes or auto. So you get to go through and select what you want, very specific, down within your model itself. Then you have sheet link, which is not included as well. So sheet link is right here. You have sheet gen, so the ability to go through and generate some sheets. So you have view list. You have the ability to go look at your revision list as well from here and modify it. So there is that one, which was the sheet gen. Then you have table gen. Table gen is not included, and you have the ability to add tables. And this is the one where you can actually add your Microsoft Word. So for all of you that have asked me forever, I just want to bring a Word document into Revit, you now can with TableGen. And TableGen, again, is not included. It is one of the premium options. So, but be aware, if you ever wanted to bring that Microsoft Word, you now can. View Manager is another one. So View Manager right here allows you to go through and manage your view templates, your template transfer data. So if you ever wanted to transfer some of these view templates out, you also have that option too. And view range, which is amazing for all of you that are trying to manage view ranges for all of the views that have been set up in your project. You now can at a bird's eye level versus a macro level per view. Highly recommend this tool because we all know people have view range issues. That's probably one of the most things I hit on when I'm doing fundamentals training, is explaining view range. And I typically do it with like a section cut. For all of you that don't know, within Revit, you have a view range, basically being able to see a depth within a view of a level. So you can see how far you're going in your cuts. So like sections, and even from your elevation levels, you have different view representations of, let's say, like a foundation. This tool is going to allow you from a bird's eye level address any of those issues from newer designers that aren't really well informed about view range, that because people get confused. It's definitely hard to explain to people on that cut range. But so those are the DiRoots 1 tools. And then you do have some STEM tools, which are, I'll touch on one here, but there's a couple of them. You have parameter extractor, you have model cleanup, revision remover, CAD manager, project standards. We're not, just in the sake of time, we're not going to go in depth of all these, but the one that I mainly want to talk about, because I love cleaning up data, is the model cleanup. And something that really struck home with me was this right here. So for all of you that ever wanted to clean families and nested families, so for those of us that didn't know, because I love to explain things, I mean, you probably knew that from just listening to all of our videos. But basically, within a family, you can nest families. So essentially, let's say if you had a door, you could have hosted, or you could have modeled mullions or muttons, depending on how you want to name them or classify them, part of the family, or it can have been another family that was brought into that family. So think of Inception. I love to use Inception a lot because it actually resonates with a lot of what Revit is, a dream within another dream, right? So you have your host family, and then you have a dream within another dream, right? Or a family within another family. Kind of like, what do you call those things, Jason, from
Inception?
Well, I already said Inception, but like the dolls that go.
Like the Russian nesting dolls?
Yes, it's like a Russian nesting doll. So basically, if you ever needed to clean those out because they're not being used, your nested families, to actually save some file size, you can actually go and do a deep clean into your nested families now. So that's kind of, yes, exactly like that. So basically, if you look at this image Jason did, it's taking out all of those as you see it. It's deleting ones that weren't used before the main family, the host family. So that's something you could do now, which is amazing. And you can change the different modes, dark mode and light mode. I went straight to dark. Like, imagine doing this.
Yeah,
do you think?
Yeah. Dark mode's where it's at.
Oh, 100%. Okay. So I guess we need to look at that perspective too. These are premium tools, by the way, right out the gate. The freemium tools are the ones with DiRoots One. The DiStem are paid for. So you have that model cleanup. You have parameter extractor, which is quickly extracting hidden parameters and properties. So like location X, Y, and Z. You have revision remover, which is kind of self-explanatory, but you can remove revision clouds in batch. And then you also have the CAD manager, which allows you, I'm like talking as I'm doing this because I'm just so amped. I'm just excited because these are exactly the things that I've been missing from a plugin perspective to help me just accelerate what I'm doing. CAD Manager, this is something that actually resonates with Jason because he loves Civil 3D, which is built off of AutoCAD. But you can actually manage layers and you can actually do CAD tracing directly with this tool as well. So this allows you to colorize CAD layers in the Revit model, and CAD to Revit features will be coming soon for all of you. So looking for the expedited CAD to Revit, definitely going to be that ability to expedite that process. So right here, CAD to Revit, you have the link, and then you also have the import, but you have legends and drafting views. So project standards. So if you wanted to go through and from a project standards perspective, you have that ability to transfer multiple elements like views, sheets, view templates, doors, windows at a macro level. So you don't actually have to select everything. You have that ability too. And then you have 3D ruler. So if you wanted to go through and measure, some of these other ones, I would probably do update and batch. That's also another great one. So that if you need to update your thumbnails, you can go through and do that. And then you have parameter link, which is another great tool as well. So the ability to go through and link different parameters. I haven't used this, but I was thinking of some use cases that you wanted to go through and use for this. But you can create links between parameters, whether type or instances. So if you ever wanted to link one parameter to another parameter in the information that it actually hosts, you can do that now. Hopefully you can all feel my excitement through this. I'm just excited because I was already using these yesterday. Excited to announce this to all of you if you wanted to go through and access these as well.
And there is a breakdown on the website link that Michael posted that shows you which ones are free and which ones are premium. But there was a question from Tom. Does each user require a premium subscription, or can the premium license be shared or activated on demand? I don't know the answer to that. Do you?
Am I allowed to announce that yet?
I don't know.
Do I walk the line?
I mean, isn't that what we do best around here?
This is going to be the easiest. I'll just make everyone as amped as I am. Because again, love DiRoots. Love their mindset. Because it's exactly what you want with a partnership of the same kind of thing that we do day in and day out. But anyways, okay. So basically, it'll be just as easy to manage because that was a question about licenses and managing the users, right? It will be, I don't know if I'm allowed to, so I'm going to walk the line. It will be just as easy as you manage your Autodesk licenses. Is that good enough?
Maybe. Well,
And
should we
and
just
in
say
this
to be determined?
to be determined, yeah. Just be aware. It's going to be a streamlined process to manage your user licenses. In a way, I don't think you have done that before with plugins.
So I think the answer for Tom then would be it will be easier than it was before.
Yep. Yeah.
There we go. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I sort of blanked out there for the last 10 minutes. I don't know what you were even talking about, but
I know
again,
I kept looking over at you and
I
you were
was
like,
I was feeling your energy and you're excited about this stuff. Some of the things you mentioned make sense to me, but like I said, I'm not a Revit user. But I did want to mention one thing. I said earlier that there wasn't a tool for civil, and that's not entirely true. There is a button that you see on Michael's ribbon now called One Filter. And there is a One Filter utility for AutoCAD and Civil 3D, and it's pretty darn slick. That one is a free tool. Go check it out.
because they have AutoCAD tools, they just don't have Civil 3D tools.
Well, that's the only tool is the One Filter, but it works in a similar way. It allows you to figure out and visualize things a little easier. I should have had a demo prepped, but let's just say for now, DiRoots, they have a lot more than just Revit tools. They have a whole host of programming folks, and we have a dev team here at ATG that will be working very, very closely to help leverage some of their knowledge and skill set to just expand the whole universe on things. And if you go check out that website, that DiRoots One tool is the most used Revit plugin in the world. So
in the world.
In the world.
Say it again one more time.
We're not just talking about North America. We're not just talking about U.S., not talking about Arizona. We're talking DiRoots One. These tools are the most used tools in the world. So
because it's all you need.
We went big leagues, is what I'm saying. This is quite the upgrade for ATG, and it's going to be quite the upgrade for all of you who either were using other tools or haven't used plugins at all. We're talking about tons of efficiency upgrades. We're talking about tons of things that you're just going to say, damn, how come I haven't had that my whole life? These are things that are directly related to the transformation that our industry is going into. And we're going to squirrel here a little bit. I had a conversation yesterday. Guy, I've been working
2019. There you go, Robert.
Yeah. Talking with a guy yesterday. He's like, yeah, we work with architects who haven't made the transition to Revit yet. They're still on AutoCAD. And that was a transformational moment in the industry. Whenever that came out, 20 years ago, folks made that decision to stay where they were and not move on. Same thing with Line Development Desktop and Civil 3D in 2006, 2007. Using Revit, vanilla Revit, is also one of those things. The next step is going to be plugging it in with more tools, plugging into the other components of the AEC collection and Autodesk Construction Cloud. There's so much going on now that we're hot rodding everything. So,
well, it's kind of segue back. What makes me so excited is, and why it's one of the best, it is the best tool in the world right now, is because it's everything you need in a simple, easy, clickable area versus so busy where there's too many different things. A lot of these tools in this suite, one does multiple facets for what you're doing, so you're not having to click out, click into a different tool to finish out that execution. Like Parameter Manager allowed me to, in the same sequence, manage the shared parameter file, add that parameter to multiple families in that same instance, and then also manage the existing parameters in the project for those if I need to swap them out. And it was all just in that sequence of that tab. I don't have to go into a family. I don't have to worry about where that state is at. I'm in my project. I'm managing everything in one tool in a nice sequence click. So again, that's what makes me so amped, because the thought process is the same thought process that you would always want as a Revit BIM manager, I guess, you can still be, it doesn't matter your title or role. If you're managing shared parameters in a project and families, it makes logical sense. Like, you don't have to say why doesn't it do this? Because it does. So it just makes me amped. I like logic.
Logic is fun.
When I'm messing with data, like, can you just provide me a logical tool, which parameter manager does? So, okay. Segue. What else, Jason?
Well, I'm going through the chat to go back to the stamp question from last week, because I know we want to come back to get to stamps here in just a second. But I'm excited. I'm excited for all these announcements today. This won't be the last big announcement day. I'm excited to say that too. But let me go find the question from next week, and we'll make that segue over to stamps again.
Okay.
And stop showing Revit. It was hurting my feelings there for a minute.
I know. I was trying to go as quick as possible. I could see you starting to tone out. I was like, oh, how do I bring Jason back in? Because my energy's not bringing him back in. But
well, it's just, I like I said many times, I'm scared of Revit.
It's just, yeah, I'm just so excited. Hopefully you can all feel my energy through this. It makes you just as excited.
All right. So we want to get into stamps, right? We want to get into what's possible, because it does follow that same automation that we're after. The batch functionality that requires the complete subscription, but also, like, what can we do with stamps that are going to help make our PDF plan sets more effective, and using some of the dynamic capabilities that are in there. Maybe you want to talk about some of the scripting stuff that we can do. But we've got 20 minutes left. Let's dive into there. And I'm still looking for that question. I know it came up.
Oh, we're going to get into the weeds?
We're getting into the weeds if we got time for it.
I don't know why this, there we go. That was like showing up through my review thing. Come on, Revit. Okay, so let's talk about stamps. And I guess, Jason, I didn't know we were going to get too deep into the weeds, so we'll just go right into it then. When you create a custom stamp, we were talking about, because I know a lot of people have been asking about this, and it just always comes back to me. So we'll visit it a little bit. Basically, this custom JavaScript window. I even had someone comment pretty recently on one of the videos that we posted about needing to customize some of this stuff. So I've actually done a video out there that shows this workflow. What I haven't done for all of you is shown the editing to add some of these items into here. And I need to rejuvenate my memory as I'm going through and talking about this, about what can be and can't be added in here. I do know for a fact from let's go to forms, because that's going to remind my brain. So a list actually isn't a list that you can do. It's text with options that creates the imaginary list. Same thing with the drop-down button. These can't be used. Essentially, it's a lot of text boxes, and I think it's check boxes, because radio button doesn't work either. Built into the JavaScript, but I think I'm incorrect. I think the drop-down does work too. But so it's this one, and not that one, but this one. So text, it's actually it's like 1, 2, 3. Basically, radio boxes, buttons do not work. So for those people that want a radial button, it's actually a checkbox that you can change the type of check that it is. Same thing for a drop-down. So when I bring you into this, so you can download these, essentially, when you go into your forms, you go into, well, let's go into editing this. Because we already talked about the just dynamic stuff, and we probably want to go in. That's what you were saying. We want to go into this, right? Right?
Yep.
Okay. So from within here, if you go to the Bluebeam website, you can download these stamps, and they're not hard to modify. So if I go into here and I go into forms and I go into JavaScript, you're going to have a script code that basically has built what is going to manage your forms, plugging in values. This is the JavaScript population of the UI. So essentially what this is going to tell us, it's going to map us to some text fields with this text box of the stamp that's populating here. Now the first field is checked by with the description of CB, because I've changed this for you all to show you that you can go through and change these. These can be modified from a description level. Whenever you see a description, you can change that description because it does not need to match the field. So if you wanted to, when that UI popped up, you were able to see that I changed it to the CB, and then even down here, I changed the description to Michael and then ATG. If you wanted to, you can change the description values if it gets you exactly what you need. So let's say if you had the fields that was checked by, you wanted it to be in here. So the by was a text, right? And that function was in here, and you just wanted to change the title that the person saw with the JavaScript that populated open. Same thing with description, you can, right? So from that description of the field of date, which is this part down here, which you can have it, they don't have it default function to auto-populate, which you could, the actual date itself, but just being aware. That's an option. Oh, no, it is an auto-populated date, because if you see down here, it tells you the automatic date and time function here. So it's saying return, you're going to go and curate. So this is the function from here to here. So field date description, it's going to go and actually go through and curate the new date of what the date and time is from that perspective. Then the next one is your radio group. I know you're all going to be like, Mike, you said from like a radio perspective, radio button group, right? But if I go to my forms here, right, these are actually from a status set here, what those options are. Let me try to go through and modify properties. So from here, I actually have the ability to go through and change what these are from a style of a check to a cross to a diamond. Ooh, let's do a diamond.
Ooh, that's fun.
Let's go and save this. Hold on. Let's see if it... save. Let's see if it auto-populates that back in. Was it the first one? Yeah, look at that. That reminds, because we're going snowboarding soon. So yeah,
there you go.
There you go. It's a
Make
black diamond
diamonds.
run. Okay, but yeah, so you can go through and change these out if you wanted as well. Go back into here, go back into my editing of this. Did you find that original question?
I did not.
Okay. So you can keep adding some states in here, check by, date, and calculate. Don't change and modify the calculation. The calculation window needs to have what information you have here. So essentially how this calculation window works, for all of you ever wondering, it says do not edit, but I have edited it before and it did work. But basically they just have to have the same function. So this is essentially going to create the function states of what your forms is to matching your JavaScript window. Now within these, within the like code script, this is like the manual. Essentially it's saying you can do these options with your forms, and then the JavaScript window will populate open and give the data back to here. So this is essentially the main manual, and you can add values into here. I'm not recommending you changing this because you will probably ruin them, but you can for those folks that are well-versed in JavaScript. They only just give you a specific amount of ability to modify some of the form options here. And you can go to other stamps that have different calculation windows as well. But this calculation window, essentially code, gives it the ability to connect data from here to your new JavaScript window. And there's specific values that enable you to do specific options. And apparently I am incorrect. It is radio buttons. It isn't checkboxes. So that's the thing. It's a radial button, not a checkbox. So I apologize. Again, it's been some time since I've been in here, but you have your radio buttons. So you can go through and copy this from any other one if you wanted to create your own custom stamp. So that's a little bit of an example. I can come into here and say, I want this code because I want all of these features in my own stamp. And then you can go and create a base stamp with the same code, but you need to create a text field that is a calculation. And in that calculation, you need to go to settings and you need to change that calculate to a custom calculation field and copy that text code into here. But that text code has to be the same text code as the existing text code from the original JavaScript, which is here. Which is this stamp code. They just titled it stamp code. But it does have to be referred to that same one as long as the calculation code says stamp code. It's saying go to your stamp code and grab this information. So from here, then you can build your stamp code, which is going to plug in the data from here and read your main calculation code from the JavaScript level. So this can be copied as well, giving you a starting point. There are some great modification tools for this. So that's kind of like a bird level view. If you wanted to create one from scratch, you can. You can pick ones out. There is a list out there. You can Google. I'm not going to show you the Google information of where it's at, but you can go and Google to get some of these metadata items out there. But let's just say you like the submittal stamp and what it had. Drop down of options, right? You have all of this approved, revised, and you wanted to just change some of these items and reorganize the way this thing looks too. You can do that natively without having to go through the long embedded task of what I've done now, right? So if you wanted to modify this one, oops, I placed it in this thing. You can very easily go into here and you can organize these wherever you want them to look on the stamp. That's not hard. You just move the text field of what this is. If you wanted check by to be moved, by all means, go move check type, check by, right? If you wanted to keep what's natively here, you could. If you wanted to add more, you can too. It's not that complex. All you have to do is go to your forms, JavaScript, and in this code, not that one, in this stamp code state here, all you have to do is add some more options. Like if you wanted to create a new one, you're going to go through and modify, add a new text field. That new text field will then need a value of the same information. The value needs to be the same name as whatever you name the text field. From that naming of the same text field, then you can add a description of what's going to pop up in the UI of your JavaScript window. So again, you have these options to quickly add them or modify the existing. So maybe you're like, well, that's great, Mike. I don't want to add anything. I like everything here. It has all my options. I just need to modify what it says. You can. So all you need to go through and do is just change things to like, you can change even this project one if I just want to put my name here. Anything coming up, Jason? Are you going squirrely
Nope.
too right now? Or are you good?
I'm good.
Okay, let's do Jason then. So I can change a lot of these descriptions, not the values. The value needs to match the same name as over here. So here to here. How are we on time? Good?
You got 10 minutes.
Okay. So you have Jason now. So I changed the status to Jason, and then I changed one of these project informations to Michael. Super simple, right? Just quickly changing the name. And you could change the way these are oriented. So if you wanted to change your states, your status to go to the top, you just switch the values and where those options are. So like, I guess let me explain that because people are probably like, what are you talking about, Michael? I do that sometimes. Just people have to speak up and let me know if they're not, if it's not resonating. So basically, if I wanted to reorient the way those worked in order of the list, they just need to be switched because you have your radial groups for statuses. This just needs to go before the radial group of your text boxes. So if you just wanted those to be different on the UI of that window, you can change that as well.
And with that JavaScript, that double slash makes the code, anything behind it gets ignored. So
Correct.
In here, you see that this maps to a radio group in the PDF. You can use those double slashes to add whatever context or notes you need to this in case you need to go back and edit it later or make it, for somebody else to edit.
Yeah, this line is not used.
Correct.
Yep.
Just like the codes in Lisp routines and most other coding languages have that sort of ignore after this signifier.
But it only goes for that one line number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there is a easy tool to I know if I say Liz, is Liz going to come out of nowhere?
She's not Beetlejuice.
Okay. So Liz uses I think the Microsoft JavaScript. I use this. Put this in the chat. And sometimes it's right, like, to be honest, but sometimes it's not. So like this JS hint, I think is JavaScript hint. So basically this tells you it's an easy builder, so you can copy and modify it in here versus I've done it. Well, I've tried it. In here, don't. Yeah. So from here you can go through and add and remove things. So you're actually aware of where you're at. It'd be funny if she did though. I agree, Doug. I was worried because that's happened before where we said Liz and then she's popped in and I'm like, oh, Liz is here. But yeah, so basically you can manage these functions from, I use this, it's free, it's web browsed. That can just check your metrics of what you're going through and doing from your function perspective. If you're going to go through and rebuild these, that's what I did. So just be aware that this is available. Free, it gives you your lines, like Jason was saying. So line 42 is ignored because of the double slash. And then it tells you what that grouping is. It's project group. And then you can go through and modify all of these properties. Just be aware, whenever you're adding, whatever you're adding to here can't be a whole new justification because the main JavaScript code in the calculation doesn't fit that option of what's available from your forms. So if you want that to be able to fit, there is the ability to create a combined calculation, which somebody may have done that before. Yes, me. Okay. But basically you can go through and research what all this means and grab everything that allows it to be a combined function so that you have the ability to add all of the options that are available for you to create a custom stamp. So you can go through and do this, copy them over, find out the differences. Because again, right now, JavaScript for these stamps is really like a skeleton key. You're just piecing things together, but you have to understand what the code is. So be aware, it's out there. You can do that. You think that was too quick? We good? Anyone have any questions?
I think we're good. So okay. Yeah, you jumped into the JavaScript part of it, but let's pretend that you've built this magical stamp. What are some good ways that people can leverage these and apply them to other sheets, and what, how would these be used, and what ideas would you have for, getting these adopted throughout the firm?
Yeah, that would be also understanding what stamp you grab, because there's a batch feature that you can't undo. So let's do that one first. Let me go to, I guess I should have said that at the beginning because you did ask me that question, or that question was asked earlier and I just totally skipped over it. Were these, I don't know where the download is, but just be aware when you go through and download these, yeah, here's this. There is the submittal status batch. The batch means that it's placed on multiple. When you go to your next sheet, the information copies over to the next sheet, to the next sheet, to the next sheet. So you have that option to go through and instantly copy it from one sheet to the next. You don't have to retype information. That's what batch is, and it's per the instance of review. So there is a downside, meaning that people are going to not want that information copied. So use the original one so the people have to re-input the information into the stamp versus copying the information over to over. So you can't undo that JavaScript window. I bet you could. Like Peter over at Bluebeam could have been like, yeah, I just modified the JavaScript. I knew exactly what line item meant this. So I'm not saying you can't, but it's hard. And I personally was unable to do it. So just being aware. Then there is the original one. Just when you download the stamps and they say batch, that means it's copying information from one place to the next place. So that you don't have, it's ease of information for the next stamp. So your question earlier is, how do I create a stamp that will duplicate a lot of the information going from one page to the next? You're going to click the batch. So it memorizes that information. You're not retyping it in. That's if you're stamping a large PDF set. But in the same notion, I would just do, well, if it's going to be the same information and some text items change, which you can do as well, you could always go through and just do apply to whatever amount of pages that you wanted. So that's an option. What else? What was the other question? Because I did a little squirrel and I forgot.
None.
Okay.
Very, very cool. So yeah, we went deep into stamps with the JavaScript little tips and tricks, and then we had a few announcements today about Bluebeam Unbound. We talked about ATG and our new partnership with DiRoots. Michael showed you some of the DiRoots stuff inside of Revit. I just got another email in the past couple minutes that there is a Design and Build Expo in November in MGM Grand in Las Vegas.
We're full convention center back active now.
Yeah,
it took what?
It's wild.
5 years.
It took a few years, and I just looked at it. Some of the big players, Autodesk and Esri and Trimble, and a lot of folks are going to be at the Design and Build Conference as well. So, it's something to consider about. It is that time of year where firms are looking at their budgets for next year, and if conventions were a thing for you 5 years ago, guess what? It's a line item again. Whether you're an exhibitor or looking to recruit people or whatever, it's worth considering because that's where our industry is going again. We're getting back together, which is a beautiful thing to see because it allows us to transfer that energy, to network with one another, to learn new tricks and do the things that our firms need to thrive in these interesting times.
Yeah, so it's contagious energy. Right. Like that's what we were just talking about DiRoots when we saw them in person at AU. It was my first time meeting some of the crew there. And the energy was just contagious. And that's what made me so excited. And I am so excited even using the tools yesterday for some of my tasks here to in like a BIM management facet. Just makes you amped that things are exactly where they need to be for exactly what you're doing. And just DiRoots as human beings in general just match us so well with our charisma and excitement too. So it's awesome.
And you'll find that, with everything in life, it doesn't even have to be work related, that when you find that matching energy is what's going to help you come out of your shell. It's going to help you, explore new opportunities. It's going to help you grow and do things that will, sort of add some life to your life. To make that redundant, but it's one of those things that's worth leaning into and not shying away from. Some of the things that Michael showed you today are absolutely going to be game changers. I hate that term for a lot of the folks in the industry, but it truly is. And now is the time not to be afraid of new things because our industry is changing at a very, very rapid pace. Lots of things are going to change. Embrace it, or if you've been one of those folks who've been stuck or stagnant for a while, it's time to break out of your shell. It's not too early to start on your New Year's resolutions. And with that, we'll close it up. So, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks, of course, Michael for doing an excellent demo and being all over the place today, showing off so many new tools. That's what we do here. If you've stuck around this long, we will see you next Tuesday. For Thanksgiving week, and we look forward to seeing you then.
See you all then.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of the other content on our channel.